Hey team, welcome back. Hey, Jimmy Clegg here, Coldwell Banker, Distinctive Properties here in beautiful Grand Junction, Colorado. And this is week 2 of our launch coaching. Now, this is a re-recorded take on part 2. So the problem was I didn't record when we did it on Wednesday. So I'm re-recording it here with all the notes so that you guys get it. You guys can take it. You guys can go back and review all the notes. So I'm going to go through the notes here. We're going to fill in the worksheet, and then we're going to draw out the funnel at the end. So this will go quicker than what we did on Wednesday. So hang tight and get ready. This is probably the most important day of, or most important week of the 10-week series, because this provides the foundation for everything that you're going to do. It's going to provide you that business plan. It's going to give you in your head what a business plan needs to look like. And it will help carry you through these next 12 months plus. So let me share my screen here and we'll get started. All right, let's see. Let me go here. Go, boom. All right, hey team. Okay, here we go. Let's have an incredible amount of fun here going forward. So the funnel. And why I call it the funnel is because you start at the top and you matriculate your clients down through the funnel into your active pile. But why is the funnel important? Why is this so successful? So number one, it is a visual representation of your business plan, and it provides a plan for you to follow. Right? It's really almost a model for you to follow. Okay. And the other reason why I like it is because it has an evergreen, holy cow, let me be able to spell right here. An evergreen effect, which means that you can use this daily, weekly, monthly. You can apply this model, this plan going forward to just about any business venture that you want to that you're undertaking. But for real estate, we're gonna focus on just a real estate portion of it. Okay, the funnel, and when you see the representation, you will see that it's got 3 stratas to it. The first one is a top of funnel. The next one is a middle of funnel, and then the bottom one obviously is bottom of funnel. Now, how do we categorize these? How do we qualify these? Well, the bottom of the funnel are folks that are getting ready to purchase somewhere between 0 and 6 months out. The middle of funnel are 6 to 12 months. And then the top of the funnel are your 12-month out folks. So these might be folks that have bought within the last couple of years. They may not buy for another 5 years. That's fine. You put them in the top of funnel, you keep them. That's why it's so wide at the top, because you're going to have a huge pool of folks up there. And that's how do we take those and move them down to the bottom and ultimately into our active pool. As we discussed last week, it also gives you an opportunity for people to start knowing you, liking you, and ultimately trusting you. This is where we want to get to. We want folks to trust you enough that they raise their hand and ask you to represent them in either the buy or the sell of their house. Now, part of the funnel is frequency to call. How often do we call these folks? What does that look like? Well, at top of funnel folks, you're probably calling them once a quarter. Middle of funnel folks, you're calling them once a month. And then your bottom of funnel folks, you're calling them once a week. Very simple, very easy to remember. All right. Now, how do we fill our lead or our funnels? And that is through lead sources. Okay. So successful agents have 5 to 7 different lead sources. As we go through these next 8 weeks, What I want you to focus on is 3 lead sources. I'm actually going to give you one. We'll talk about that in just a second, but we'll let that grow. I want you to focus on 3 lead sources. That way you don't get overwhelmed and you don't do everything halfway. You can focus on 3, and then we're going to start adding them, adding the other 2 or 3 in the future. Okay. Now, when we say a lead source, what qualifies a lead source? How do we define a lead source? Well, here's the thing. A lead source has a plan behind it. That's the most important, that you are identifying some number of transactions that you're going to glean off of that particular lead source. And then you're also allotting an amount of time each week to work that lead source. So we've got a plan, we've got a goal, which is that number of transactions. And then within that plan, we've got some time that we're allotting to that lead source. The other key part of this is that your progress on each one of these lead sources as you're working through it is tracked and measured. Okay. That is probably the key. The most important thing is that as you're working through this plan, that you're tracking and measuring your progress for that lead source. Okay. Now let's talk about lead sources. There's really 5 big lead sources that most real estate agents gravitate to. The first one, which is common to everybody, is your sphere of influence. I'm going to call it past clients as well. Okay. Your sphere of influence should give you 80% of your business. Now, there's some people that will break out their sphere of influence into multiple subcategories. Personally, I think that gets incredibly complicated. So I keep it pretty simple, pretty generic. If they're within my family, if they're friends, past clients, if I get a referral from a friend or a past client, then they go into the sphere of influence. Keep this pretty broad. And at some point in the future, if you want to break it out, that's fine. So for example, I'm just going to digress for a minute. If we want to take sphere of influence, break out our past clients and build a plan around just our past clients as a lead source, guess what? That's okay to do. But for right now, let's keep it binned super easy. Next one, farming. There are 2 types of farms. You can do a geographic farm, or you can do a demographic farm. Okay. Geographic is nothing more than finding a subdivision or a piece of terrain with, or, a piece of, big group of land, or a big area that you want to spend some time, build a plan around, focusing on building business out of all of the homes, all of the owners within that geographic area. The other one is a demographic area, and this is really just a targeted population, a group. So for example, I'm a retired Army guy. So a very natural demographic that I could farm would be the veteran population. So that gives you the 2. Some people say demographic, I'm going to focus on school, or maybe I'm going to focus on a specific industry. Here's a great one. Maybe you want to farm lenders, get lenders to be able to provide you leads. So how are you engaging lenders? What's the plan to engage lenders across the board? Okay. Now, the next one is social media. And that is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, however it is, but there is a specific plan that you are building around how you are going to generate leads through each one of those 1, 2, or all of those lead sources. Okay. The next big lead source is an open house. I will tell you that open houses are one of my favorites because it allows a face-to-face engagement. And my belief in this market, and as we see this market start changing, that the folks that are going to be successful are those folks that have the face-to-face, belly-to-belly, toes-to-toes, nose-to-nose, however you want to define that engagement. All right. There is also a reason that a prospect is at an open house. Number one, really the two big ones are, number one, they want to be there because they're interested in the house. Or number two, you might get that neighbor, we call them the nosy neighbors, may pop in to check out that house, that listing, because they want to measure their house against that house. Either way, there is a reason that a couple or somebody walks through that front door on an open house. Okay. Now, I will tell you that successful agents that just kill it at open houses, they're getting about 90% they're getting the contact info from about 90% of the people that walk through the house. So or the front door. So if you got 100 people, I'm sorry, if you got 10 people that walk through the 100, yeah, that would be beautiful. That would be huge, right? If you have 10 people that walk through the front door, you should be able to glean about 9 contacts worth of information out of there. And as we go through these next couple of weeks, we're going to focus on open houses on one of the weeks, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. I'm going to teach you how to be successful in getting that contact information from those folks. Okay. The next one is online. Now, online, that's websites. You can do landing pages, blogs. So let's go landing pages, blogs, really content delivery is content. Let me get the T in there. Content delivery. How you use your website to get your word out, to get people, you really are trying to drive engagement of folks to your website. I also consider online as folks that pay for leads. These are things like Zillow, Realtor.com. I will tell you that I'm not a big fan. I think you're going to spend a lot of money and not get the return that you hope for, despite whatever anybody tells you. I just have not seen it truly pay off without putting in a boatload of money. So anyway, so there you go. There's that is, oh, and I got it. I actually got paying for leads right there on the next page. So good. All right. Now, this is for you to fill out this particular portion right here. And that is, I'm going to give you one, which is common to all. Like I said, that's one lead source right there. That's your sphere of influence, past clients. You get to put this one and this one in. So if you want to do open houses, let's focus on open houses. If you want to focus on online stuff, let's focus on online stuff. If you want to do farming, then we're going to talk about how to do a geographic farm or a demographic farm. So those two spots are for you to fill in. I want you to really think hard about this as we go forward. And then, we're going to build a plan and help you build a plan around all three of these. Now, I cannot pass this day without giving you some tips that I'm seeing from super successful agents. Okay. The first one is that successful agents treat their business like a business. And I say this because I've seen a lot of agents pop in. They think real estate is easy. They think, oh my goodness, the booming market, all I got to do is get the listing. And then they realize how hard it is. And that's because they're not treating their business like a business. Okay. The second thing is they're remaining incredibly vigilant to the market. They're really focused on how their business is performing. They're tracking. Well, they're tracking and measuring everything. Okay. So they're tracking and measuring their progress. And that's part of this vigilance that they have. Okay. Next one, they have a plan and they're working their plan. So many people, so many agents get squirreled away by the next shiny object that pops out there. I don't know how many phone calls I've got from bestleads.com or greatleads.com or the only leads you need.com, or we're going to make you super successful lead.com, whatever that program that's out there that they say that they're going to provide you a ton of leads. Guess what? Most of them are garbage. None of them are going to produce. Don't waste your money. That's all I'm going to say. So going back to, they've got a plan. They're focused on open houses. They're going to focus on, they're focused on geographic farming. They're going to stick with the geographic farm plan for the duration. They have the plan and they're working that plan. And what that ultimately means is that people know them, they like them, and they trust them. You guys are going to hear this over and over and over again for these full 10 weeks. It's the KLT principle. It's the know, like, and trust. Okay. So now we come to our funnel. All right. And now I'm going to draw everything that we just talked about. I'm going to draw out on the funnel here. So if we take our funnel and we're going to break it into our stratas, and we've got top of funnel, middle of funnel, and we've got bottom of funnel. All right. We talked about what that means. These are 0 to 6 months. These are 6 to 12 months. And these are 12 plus months out. We talked about the frequency that you call them. And this is 1 per week. This is 1 per month. And this is 1 per quarter right here. Okay. Now, you have to be, it's not completely rote. So if you've got a client that's sitting right there, kind of at the top of the bottom of the funnel, guess what? You might want to call them every 2 to 3 weeks. But as they work their way down, and they get down to here, then you're going to be wanting to call them once a week and checking in with them. But if you got folks up in here, the conversation is going to be very different than the folks that are down here. Up here, you're checking in. Down here at the bottom, you're actually moving them forward with market data. But if you start talking to folks up here in the top of the funnel about market data, their eyes are probably going to glaze over. They're not going to be interested. All right. So now we've got to figure out, how do we get folks? How do we get, where do our lead sources? What are these lead sources? Like I said, that your first lead source is your sphere of influence. I'm giving you that one. This one, lead source number 2 and lead source number 3. Those are going to be your choice. Remember, I said that 80% of your business comes from your sphere of influence. That means 10% is going to come from lead source number 2, and 10% is going to come from lead source number 3. Okay. So let's break this down one step further. If we say, hey, Jimmy, I want to do 24 transactions. Let me get my calculator out. And here in Grand Junction, our average sale price right now is $409,000. So I'm going to do, let me just work through these numbers real quick. 24 times $409,000. That gives me roughly, I'm just going to keep things easy. We're going to go $9,900,000. And then I'm going to multiply that times average commission rate, which is 2.75%. I always like to say 2.75% because not everybody gets a full 3%. That gives me $272,250. Now remember last week we did divide that by 3. And when we do that, divide that by 3, that gives me $90,750. Okay, so there we go. Next step, we're going to figure out number of phone calls we need to make. So we're going to take 24 times 70. And why do we do 70? And that's because an average brand new agent takes about 70 conversations to get to one transaction. I'm going to reiterate this: 70 conversations to get one transaction. Let me pause for a moment. Team, let me reframe this. You're in the business of no. You got to get 69 no's, not yeses, not yets, before you get that one transaction. So when this 5-ounce phone becomes a 50-pound weight, understand that and that's because, you're afraid somebody's going to yell at you or they're not going to be happy with you. Guess what? That very rarely happens. And if you do get that one, it's just one more of the 69 that's getting you to the 70. Okay. So let's go back here. So 24 times 70 equals 1,680. That's the number of conversations that you have to have in 1 year. We're going to divide that by 261. And why do I say 200? I'm sorry, 261. Let me get it straight. And why do I say 261? Take out weekends and holidays. And I also give you about 3 weeks of vacation in there. So 261, that gives me 6.4 conversations every day. That's the daily number that we need to have. Okay. So let's break this down one level further, and we go, okay, 6, let's just round this up to 7 so we can be super successful. And we're going to take 7 times 80%. 7 times 80% gives me 5.6. 5.6. So I'm going to round, for the sake of argument, I'm going to round this down to 5. And why do I do that? Because now I can go up here to our sphere of influence. And I know that every day I need to have 5 conversations with my sphere. I know that I need to have 1 conversation with that lead source and 1 conversation with that lead source, all to get to that number of 24 transactions in the next 12 months. We're going to take it one step further. We're going to take 24 transactions and let's multiply that by 80%. And I already know this because I've already done the math. This is 19. So that means I'm out of my sphere of influence. I'm going to get 19 transactions out of there. That leaves me with an additional 5 that I've got to come up. So I'm going to take 3 from lead source number 1. And I'm going to get 2 transactions from lead source number 2. Let me do this. Let me color code these like that. That gives me the number of transactions. And then let me do this and go, these are the number of conversations that I've got to have. So conversations over here, and then these are transactions. There we go, transactions. God, that was really ugly, but work with me here. Okay, guys, this is the business plan. This is the funnel. If you take this, I will talk, we've got an agent in our office, Amy Ashcraft is her name. She took this funnel and she put it up on her wall. And as she gets a new lead, she qualifies them on the yellow sticky. And then she'll put that yellow sticky wherever that person needs to be, wherever they are in the funnel. And then this is how she keeps and tracks and measures these folks so that she can take this person, matriculate them all the way down into the active funnel, the active part of the funnel. But it allows her to completely track and measure, understand where folks are, how to engage them, when to engage them. And then, as they're talking, hey, maybe in a year, maybe in 6 months, she just moves the sticky down. That's her way of doing it. So there you go. That's a business plan for doing 24 transactions. All I need you agents to do is figure out which lead source number 2 and what lead source number 3 is, so that we can build the actual plan, then work that plan over the next 12 months and watch everybody be successful. All right. If you got questions, feel free to email me. Feel free to call me. My number is 970-697-7776. This is, like I said, this is probably the most important, day of all 10 weeks, the important week, most important week of all 10 weeks. And starting next week, we're going to go into each one of those 6 lead sources individually. And next week is going to be the first one, which is your sphere of influence, because that is the most important. That's going to be the most income producing lead source that you have. So we're going to spend some time on that, making sure that you guys are straight and can really capitalize on your sphere. So guys, have a great weekend. Look forward to it. Look forward to next week. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.